Ice barriers have new support, that is great and makes them viable. Can you believe saying that in 2024, this OG deck can finally combo into synchro lines that make this strategy viable and worth considering for competitive play? Therefore, I'm honestly and genuinely surprised the deck is actually really decent. I know a lot of Yu-Gi tubers out there are testing the deck, they're coming up with some combos, we're testing the deck, I'm coming up with some combos, and the deck feels really good. It's the second and third game where I'm considering the deck. Is it good enough, or is it a solid rogue contender? I'm not sure, but regardless, you're probably going to come across this deck and a lot of creative players in an effort to make this deck viable. You've got two versions of the deck. You've got Ice Barrier Pure and you've got Ice Barrier Runic. So whichever one you come across, I want to ensure that you are prepared to face Ice Barrier. Therefore, whether we are covering a meta deck or a rogue strategy that can cause an upset at locals or sanctioned events by Konami, my goal is to prepare you by providing counters to beat any deck. I will do my best to cover the most known and expected combo lines, to teach you about choke points, when to use hand traps, direct counters, board breakers, and floodgates to level up your game and increase the odds in your favor. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any new videos or live streams. Let's get started. The key cards for the Ice Barrier strategy are Ice Barrier Medallion. It's a Rota without being once per turn. Very cracked, very good consistency for this once labeled terrible deck of the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG. One of the newer cards, Mirror Mage, gets the opponent wins over the Ice Barrier or Freezing Chains, and or special summons tokens for synchro combo lines. Revealer of the Ice Barrier, combo starter to bring out Hexa to the board. Hexa, Spirit of the Ice Barrier, arguably the best piece. Stop this on site, otherwise you're looking at Hexa pitching Mirror Mage from deck to graveyard and initiating its synchro line combos, and it's pretty crazy how fast this can take place. Marince's Coral Anemone, this is the combo extender. It will revive Mirror Mage to prompt Mirror Mage's second effect on field. And the last card on the key cards list is wins over the Ice Barrier. Tribute those tokens to special summon Ice Barrier monsters from the deck to the field for the purposes of going into some synchro plays. Ice Barrier has various combo lines, and in this video we're going to discuss Ice Barrier's main two combos. As we discuss the combos, we will also discuss when would be the best and most optimal moment for you to use your hand traps. In this counter guide series, we'll be focusing on the top two hand traps of the format and meta, which are Ash Blossom and Infinite Impermanence. Please keep in mind when discussing Infinite Impermanence in this counter guide, I also encompass Effect Veiler and Ghost Mourner when applicable. If you are watching this because you are seeking knowledge to beat Ice Barrier in the TCG and eventually on Master Duel, well, Maxi is always going to be the #1 hand trap to use against any deck and should be used in all decks that you plan to use. Therefore, we won't cover Maxi in this video because of its apparent and known use for countering the meta. So let's go ahead and get started and cover the choke points and when to use Ash and Impermanence against the Ice Barrier strategy. After careful testing with and against, I learned the best card to use Ash or Infinite Impermanence aside from Medallion is Revealer. Revealer is the combo starter for the deck. It brings out Hexa, which will initiate a slew of combo lines, eventually ending on their new synchro boss, Lancia. But how does the opponent get there? If you do not stop the Revealer, then it's reasonable to believe that the following combo will ensue. Believe me when I say the board is respectful. As we dive into the combo, I will also point out when the combo line itself, Ash and Impermanence, will make a huge difference if you have it in hand, otherwise the entire combo will flourish. Your opponent will begin by normal summoning Revealer to the board. Revealer's effect will trigger on summon to pitch a card from hand to the graveyard to special summon Hexa from deck to board. In this example, let's go ahead and say that they are sending off General Wayne. Hexa will trigger to send Mirror Mage from deck to the graveyard. If you did not activate Ash or Impermanence against the Revealer, then either of these hand traps will be a strong counter to Hexa, so activate it on Hexa. If Hexa resolves, Mirror Mage will be sent to the graveyard, where Mirror Mage will trigger to add wins from deck to hand. Another point in the combo where Ash would be detrimental to the Ice Barrier strategy would be against the Mirror Mage's effect in graveyard. Why? Because Wins is a crazy card, and you will learn momentarily why and how Wins is used to upscale their strategy. Hexa and Revealer will be used to link summon into Marince's Anemone will activate to special summon Mirror Mage from graveyard to field. Hit this Anemone with Impermanence. Prevent the synchro combo that will unfold through the use of Mirror Mage. So if you can hit hit an enemy, you are hitting some crucial choke points here for the Ice Barrier strategy. Mirror Mage will tribute the anemone to special summon 3 Ice Barrier tokens. So if the opponent tributes the Marincis card, you can hit the Mirror Mage with impermanence. You are in such great standing, otherwise impending doom is near if you cannot stop the Mirror Mage at this point. Winds will be activated to tribute all 3 tokens to special summon 3 Ice Barriers from the deck. That's a 3/4/3. These summoned barriers will be dependent on your opponents, their build and play style, but for the sake of this counter guide, let's say the opponent special summons another Revealer, Prior, and Speaker to the board. Prior will activate a tribute itself to special summon an Ice Barrier monster from grave to field. They'll go ahead and bring out General Wayne. General Wayne will then trigger on summon to search out another medallion, because medallion is not once per turn, and they can do that. If you haven't already, Impermanent Ash would be another great point to stop the Wayne. Medallion will be used to search and add Georgius. Prior on Wayne will be used to synchro summon Lancia. Georgius will summon itself to the board and trigger to special Prior from the graveyard to the field. Another great infinite and permanent target would be the Georgius. Speaker and Georgius will be used to synchro summon Ice Jade. Prior will use its effect again to special summon Georgius from graveyard to field. Revealer and Georgius will be used to synchro summon Sword Soul Supreme. And there you have it, folks, a solid board. And do not forget about the other 3 cards still remaining in hand. The importance of stopping Medallion is inherent, therefore knowing what other options for targets is crucial. Let's take another look at another combo line. This combo line will be kept brief because it will restart the previous combo line we finished discussing. This is the Medallion and Totally Awesome combo. This is a 2-card combo which will be Medallion and Revealer. Medallion will be activated to search and add Speaker from deck to hand. Revealer will be normal summon, and let's say Wayne was sent as cost for Revealer's effect again. Revealer will bring out Hexa. If Hexa resolves, Mirror Mage will be sent from graveyard, where Mirror Mage will trigger and add Georgius from deck to hand. Another point in the combo where Ash would be detrimental to the Ice Barrier strategy, as we previously discussed. And why in this specific line? Well, because Georgius will extend into a strong synchro board. You will learn why momentarily. Speaker will activate in hand to special summon itself to the board. Revealer and Speaker will be used to XYZ into Bahamut Shark, which Bahamut Shark will activate to special summon a Totally Awesome to the board. Before Bahamut Shark can special summon the Totally Awesome, impermanent here. Don't overthink it. This is the target you want to stop, because Totally Awesome is such a difficult card and will make your follow-ups challenging. Bahamut Shark and Hexa will be used to link summon into Marincis. Marincis will activate to bring back Mirror Mage, another great impermanence target as we've discussed. Mirror Mage will activate by tributing the Marincis Link monster to special summon 3 tokens. Impermanence is amazing here, as we've previously discussed as well. 1 token and Mirror Mage will be used to secret summon into Coral Dragon. Georgius will activate from hand to special summon itself to the board. On summon, Georgius will activate to revive Revealer from graveyard to board. Impermanent here, Georgius is a great target. Revealer and Georgius will synchro into the new boss Lancia. Speaker in grave will activate to banish itself to special summon an Ice Barrier token to the field. The 3 tokens will be used with Coral Dragon to synchro into Ravenous, which will allow the player to draw 3 cards because of Ravenous's effect due to 3 non-tuners being used, and to draw off of the Coral Dragon because it's sent to the graveyard, so it allows a +1 draw. Overall, the opponent will have 4 draws at the resolution of this synchro combo. The boards end with Lancia, Ravenous, and Toad on the board. Do not forget about the initial 2 cards in hand that they originally had, plus the 4 new cards drawn. The opponent will have counters during your strategy, and what makes this even a stronger and better combo is the fact that most Ice Barrier players will be playing this combo with at least 15 or more hand traps already included in the deck. So aside from board presence, more than likely they're going to draw into additional disruptions off of that +4. There you have it, folks, a comprehensive look at the vulnerabilities and options available to timing the Ash and Imperm against the Ice Barrier strategy. Because there are a lot of key cards and lines to complete a combo, let's reiterate. Your top 3 Ash targets are in order: Medallion, Revealer, Mirror Mage. Top 3 Imperm targets are going to be Revealer, Hexa, and Mirror Mage. Of course, these may not be all the available targets, nor the best order priority, because every deck is fluid based on playstyle and reliance on build type. Therefore, please take everything constructive and do your own play testing, and keep an open mind as to resilience and recovery. Now let's get into the depths of counters. I play tested to see the differences, and I'm content with the 6 counters I have found, and I'm excited to share those with you. At number 1, we've got Droll and Lockbird. The deck searches way too much. This will shut them down completely, auto win, as most synchro decks search at least 5 times in a successful combo. At number 2, we've got Nibiru. Typically I like to save Nibiru for board breaker cards for the board breaker segment of the counter guide, Guide. However, the deck loses to Nibiru in such a tremendous way. The best time to use Nibiru will be, of course, on their 5th summon, or better yet, before the opponent uses Wind, so you can eat up all of their tokens, or on the summon of Georges, as long as it's after the 5th summon, which typically Georges usually comes out after 5th summons anyways. At number 3, we've got No Material. This card is a great counter to most meta decks. I have no idea why it gets no play and no love in the TCG. I run this on Master Duel, and its effect is similar to that of Valor and Ogre. Sure, it doesn't stop an effect, but what decks aren't going into a Link, into a Synchro, into an XYZ monster? I would strategically use No Material only on the following monsters to ensure disruption and prevent a Synchro combo. Those monsters are Revealer and Speaker. If you see these two cards on the board during the opponent's play, you can bet they will go into a Bahamut Shark. And you could also use it on Hexa as a third option because it's almost exclusively used to go into the Marinsense Link monster. And finally, you can use it on Mirror Mage to prevent the Synchro summon of Coral Dragon, and Georges to prevent the Synchro summon of either Ravenous or Lancia. So we really have more than 3 options. We've got DD Crow, Called by the Grave, and Dimensional Shifter. Graveyard control is imperative here. Hit Speaker, hit Mirror Mage, and Revealer once in grave, and watch as the deck reverts to its old title of being the worst deck in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! I do have some honorable mentions that didn't make the cut, but were still effective in use, especially against the Ice Barrier strategy. Ghost Ogre was a great hit. Hitting the Revealer really derailed their strategy. However, the deck was able to bounce back because Revealer will still bring out the Hexa, and Hexa will still send the Mage to the graveyard. And if there's a Speaker in hand, then Ogre provides more of a speed bump than a lingering obstacle. Token Collector was really fun. I love the design and the color scheme, and I enjoyed putting it in the deck when I played against Ice Barrier. Unfortunately, while effective against Ice Barrier through the prevention of Winds and Speakers graveyard effect, no other deck uses tokens. And before you say Sword Soul, let me rephrase. No other competitive deck uses tokens. The last 2 honorable mentions are Chain Disappearance and Chain Destruction. I use these in my counter guide and playtesting against the Yubel strategy, and I kid you not, such a detriment to Yubel and also a detriment to Ice Barrier. Chain Destruction will hit any of the Ice Barrier monsters on summon, while Chain Disappearance will hit Speaker, Mage, and Hexa. Arguably the deck's engine to run its course, cut it off on the head, and you've got victory in your hands. Time for a quick disclosure. As always, test out these direct counters, play around with the ratios, and see the utility they will bring to you and your deck for positive and more effective wins. Moving on to board breakers, at number 1 we've got Eradicator. The deck plays all spells, and if you're playing against the runic version of Ice Barrier over the pure combo version of Ice Barrier, expect to decimate that strategy by calling spells and getting an auto GG. At number 2 we've got Deck Devastation Virus, Hexa, Speaker, Mirror Mage. Need I say more? Easy wins. Cut out the engine. No way Ice Barrier is producing any sort of extra deck monster aside from maybe the Marinsense Link monster. At number 3, of course, we've got the Kaiju and the Lava Golem Tex. You could even opt for Raw Sphere mode because Totally Awesome is a thorn in our side, and typically a good Ice Barrier player will end up with a 3 monster board on their turn, so a great way to eat up their monsters. And a new card I want to add to this list is Chain Dispel. More of an honorable mention, but a solid sleeper tech. I put it in the main, and at best the card hit Runic Fountain, Freezing Curses, and even Runic Destruction. Sure, it doesn't stop the initial current card being activated and resolving, but it does go the distance. At worst, I was hitting Infinite Impermanence and Medallion, and you already know how good Medallion is. This is it for the board breakers. Let me know what you think. Did I miss any good board breakers out there? Are there any other secret techs to consider? I love testing out rogue options, secret techs, and obscure techs to win matches, so feel free to share that in the comments section. Moving on to our final segment of the video, we have our floodgates. Floodgates are getting more and more limited, therefore finding effective floodgates not at 1 has been a mission. I'm having to bring out cards from my bulk, but they work, so I've got some secret techs here that maybe will do you justice, perhaps not against Ice Barrier, but against other meta decks out there. At number 1, we've got Summoning Curse. The opponent will have to invest so much in order to use the effect. Of course, Summoning Curse isn't effective if the opponent has no cards in hand, but we all search and add. Our hand advantage is extremely important, therefore Ice Barriers auto lose to a Summoning Curse. There's no way around it. In order to activate a monster's effect on board, you need to banish a card from your hand. Of course, again, if you don't have a hand, you could still continue to use your monster's effects, but everybody has a hand. Summoning Curse is pretty cracked. Number 2, we've got Grave of the Super Ancient Organism. Skill Drain and Gravity Bind for level 6 or higher monsters. Synchro monsters are level monsters. There goes their extra deck, bye bye. But the only other issue here for you running Grave of the Super Ancient Organism is you better have a way to beat those monsters or have spot removal before ice barriers can recover. Magic Deflector is number 3. Ice barrier already runs no traps, and if you're playing against the runic version, well, that's an easy win, but beware because the runic version will set their cards if they have no runic fountain, or follow up on the rebound if runic fountain is already active on the board, so it's more of a quick lay stall. And the next cards are Graveyard Control. You have Different Dimension Ground, Dimensional Fissure, Macrocosmos, and Necro Valley. No graveyard equals 0 wins, 0 play, and ice barriers don't really run a lot of back row hate. We've also have Spellbound and Dimensional Barrier. Call out Synchros, GG. Call out Synchros, GG. You could even call out XYZ to stop the Totally Awesome from coming out, but call out Synchros and you'll be fine. And I have one honorable mention before we conclude the Floodgates list. This is a card that I played and I'm 50-50 about. Has anyone else tried Summon Breaker? It's a field spell. If you summon 3 times, you automatically get sent to the end phase. I used it and I loved it. This isn't a bad tech. Give it a try. Let me know what you think. It's a pretty good sleeper and obscure tech. Well, there you have it, folks. A comprehensive guide on how to beat the ice barrier deck in the competitive Yu-Gi-Oh scene. I hope these techs will bring you positive wins or a better matchup against the ice barrier strategy. If you like this content, please don't forget to like and hit that notification bell so that we can get ourselves onto that YouTube algorithm. That way you don't miss any videos or live streams. Let's melt the ice barrier and take them back to their original reputation of being the worst deck out there. Take care, my friends.